of shadow and pain. She found her calling in healing from loss. With gentle strength, she holds what others fear to name. Moving forward, breaking silence, ending shame. Every word she speaks on the subject of miscarriage is drenched in wisdom and empathy. She teaches us to unlearn, relearn.
Yay.
Hey. Yay. Oh my goodness. I've got the sun in my face. What's going on?
Yeah,
Right in the middle of the sunshine.
You're like a zebra, you know, a striped thing.
I'm glowing.
You've been called many things.
Not a zebra.
Yeah,
That's a new
that's
one.
one of those, right? Yes.
That's
How
a new one.
how are you? How are you doing?
I'm alive. I've got
Thank
something
goodness.
in the background happening, but I will as you know, I have a current family personal matter as we speak unfolding. So I may need to dash off. My apologies. And we started late because of that reason. But
Yeah.
yes, my apologies. I might need to dash off. So don't be offended. Don't think I've just abandoned you guys. I just have a family matter to take care of. And I didn't want to cancel the show again today, as we did last week with my son. This week is with another family member. So
I would have canceled the show, by the way. You know, just for the record.
I know, but I didn't want to cancel the show again. You know,
It's all right.
I do appreciate our audience. I love the fact that they're here. I love the fact they come and support us. So I wouldn't want to do that again, to be honest.
Can you focus on the show? Can you,
I will focus on the show as much as I can. That's all I can say. Because when you have, situation happening, you cannot always tell. You can't always. We don't know what's happening at the moment. Everything's just unfolding as I speak with you right now. So I have to wait for the news moment by moment. I will focus on the show because people are here, and I appreciate the time and them being here. Annie, do we have the link for the show?
Do I have the link for the show?
I've got the audio link to join the studio, but the show link, I don't think I have.
You mean to watch a show on LinkedIn or YouTube?
To watch the show on LinkedIn or YouTube, yes.
I'm watching it on YouTube now. You'd be glad to know.
You're watching on YouTube now? Yes. Well done, you.
I don't know. We haven't gone live on LinkedIn yet. I don't know why.
What do you mean?
It's still saying starting soon.
No, can we start it now? And I'm not sure what's going on. People are going to be so confused.
Don't worry. They get confused, and then.
Can you send me the link for people to join, please? Not the studio. Hold on.
Right. So to join this show, let's go to Cristiano.
Send to me.
Hold on, nothing.
Is there any way we can? I'm just going to see if I can join the show. It's saying the event will start soon. Wait for the host to start. Why?
Because sometimes tech has its moments.
No. Oh, right. View event details. Not today. Do you know? I blame this on Restream because StreamYard wouldn't have been doing this right now to us.
He did this a good few times, so don't you worry.
Only once. Not a good few times. Only once, Penny. To me, anyway.
No, see, I do shows every day, so I do know that it can be a pain. A simple way, a simple alternative is simply to join on YouTube.
Okay. Still need a link for YouTube.
Because we know YouTube's working, so
let me send it to YouTube then. So, do we have a link?
Hold on. Hold on.
Because my invites have gone to people on LinkedIn.
Yes. So don't worry. We'll put the link in the comments as well.
Please, I need to. Yes.
That way. That's all we can do, Christiana. When these things happen, you don't have a breakdown. We are live. We are.
We continue to go
Mm-hmm.
where we need to go, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm working on going home. To be fair,
That'd be a good start.
no, it really would be. You
Yes.
know. But my wife's like, "There's nothing more you can do there." I'm like, "There is." I said, I spent so long here doing what I'm doing
What
that I
more
would
can
hate
you do?
I would hate to go home and leave something undone. It's the little
I hear
things,
you.
little things that need doing. So like the lights fitting screws back in. Yeah. So cleaning, washing the floor, washing the windows, which I've done most of those already. Just I don't know which
Mhm.
ones need another bit of washing, right? So
Yes.
it's all of that. It's all of that. Where's Cristiano? All right, there's Cristiano.
She disappeared. She's gone off for a long walk.
All right. Okay. So I just sent you a link, to join on the YouTube instead.
Thank you. I will blast that off everywhere I can. I'm just like,
So I'm going
why
to.
today hasn't worked the way it should work. Oh.
I send loads of DMs as well. So,
But
but these things do
if they
happen.
cannot see anything on LinkedIn, how are they going to join the show? Let's ask people to drop messages on LinkedIn.
Well, they can't see the link, and then they have to join. Uh, Normally, when you're on a page and the event doesn't go live, then you tend to be going, "What's going on? What's going on?" And then you have a link. You have to look in the comments. Yeah.
Yes, some do, not all.
Mhm. Do you want to send YouTube?
So think of it live. Restream YouTube. Oh, the YouTube.
Anyway, this is a reason why you need to be on. You need to have more than one channel
Tell me
attached
about it.
to this thing. Because otherwise, when this happens, you're kind of stuck. But it's fine.
All right, so let's do this. We're going to be on live of a very short one. This one, before people join us, we're going to be leaving. Oh my goodness, that's a scary thought.
No, they'll thank you for that. They'll thank you for not keeping them all day and
What
all
do you
night.
mean?
But people appreciate getting the time back. So I mean, as much as they love our events, people love to have that. There's they really thought they're going to spend an hour or two. Suddenly they get an hour and a half back, and they're like, "Yay, brilliant, winner!" Anyway, to start the conversation, so I'll keep sending DMs to those who I've invited already.
Okay, thank you. Right, conversation, he says. Make it sound so
Yes,
straightforward.
it is. What's our conversation today? We're talking about the silent aftermath.
So, welcome, welcome, welcome to our show. We went from moving forward post miscarriage. We are now baby loss 360. Okay. Formally moving forward post miscarriage. We are rebranding and we are now baby loss 360. And if we leave it to any, we'll be going by the name of pregnancy, broad brush, pregnancy, and that's it. But we're doing baby loss 360. So let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know how you are and what time it is where you are. Welcome and thank you for being here. For those who are watching, I know that right now LinkedIn is messing around, is playing up. Not everybody can join live via LinkedIn. Please check the comments section and try to use the YouTube link if possible and where possible. I know it's difficult for some who are trying to join us. If you haven't joined us before, if you haven't seen my face before, or you don't know who I am, or maybe you're joining us from LinkedIn, from YouTube, and you haven't, or we haven't met before, let me begin by introducing myself. I am Christiana T. Johnson, a miscarriage, baby loss, pregnancy loss coach who had experienced her own personal experience, or through my own personal experience, decided that I was going to use this platform, so LinkedIn, this platform, to support women, men, couples, and organizations. So for couples and women and men, to help them to navigate the journey of this type of trauma, be it before your 24 weeks, post 24 weeks, stillbirth, neonatal births, and everything encompassing loss of this kind, to really help people to navigate, to get clarity and confidence with regards to how, what, and when. And so here I am years later. Forgive me, I've got the sun in my face. It's a beautiful day here in the UK where I'm based, but the sun is in my face. I'm going to find a way to try and stop this because I look really strange right now to you guys. But I want to thank you for being here. If you're watching this and you have experienced miscarriage, pregnancy loss, baby loss, whichever situation you find yourself in, please don't tune off. Stay tuned, come up, ask questions. No one here is going to judge you. This is a judgment-free zone. This is a space that is for you to come, to share, to ask questions, and to make comments and to contribute. This is not my space, it is your space. So I welcome you to join us and thank you for being here. Today we're going to be discussing, as we discuss so many things, when we come to this platform. I know I've had a whole month, about a month off so far. When we come to this platform, I bring topics that others may not feel comfortable enough to talk about. So that's what happens in this live that we have. So today's topic is the aftermath. So what happens after you've experienced this trauma? And initially what happens when you first experience this trauma is the questions of why. And then what happens next is you're trying to process this whole thing. When you choose to share your loss with, your family, friends, colleagues, whoever you choose to share it with, it's an outpour or inpour, I should say, of support. The phone is ringing. People are, showing their support. People are asking how. Some people sometimes ask the wrong question. People are giving you all kinds of words of encouragement or well-meaning words that do not leave you feeling encouraged in some cases. And there is that initial support, or what's in that initial support. Then fast forward a few months down the line, when the phone goes quiet, when the doorbell, or if you got ring, in my case, when your ring doesn't ring anymore, when there is a silence, when you can hear the pin drop, because everybody has gone back home, they're now living their lives, and you are left not holding that baby. What happens in those moments behind closed doors? What really happens to those that experience this trauma? That is the conversation that we are going to be having today. That's the discussion. I would like you to participate, to come and share your experiences, to ask questions. How do you navigate the silence? Do you feel afraid? Do you feel quite aware of your own thoughts? Do they become louder? Are you sad continuously? Are you wondering what to do? or do you bury yourself into your work, hoping that you don't give yourself that pause to process what is happening to you, or you don't want to think about what's next? What is the aftermath for you? What does that look like for you? And who do you reach out to when you're experiencing that? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me welcome you once again. If you're here, you are just joining us on Baby Loss 360, speaking about the silent aftermath of this nature and what really happens behind closed doors. So, Annie, I'm going to pause for a moment, and can we see if LinkedIn has finally started to open doors for us, or is it still closed?
Let me see. Click to join. No, it's still. We're starting soon. We're not really here. This our ghost like selves.
I don't know
That's
what's
what it looks
happening.
like.
What is going on with LinkedIn?
LinkedIn's doing
It's
something.
baffling.
It's been doing. It's been doing something for a good maybe even a week or so.
Don't say that.
So
Seriously.
yeah. No, so at least earlier in the week. What's today's Thursday, right? Earlier in the week
Yes.
until Monday, I set up an event, our masterclass, our AI answer engine
Yes.
masterclass on the 27th. So I set it up. It's gone
Mm-hmm.
live.
Yeah.
The post is gone, but you can't find the event on LinkedIn. It's not on the list at all. It's not on the list. It's not on the list. Not on my profile. Not on the events list. Just not. It doesn't exist.
Yes.
I'm still waiting. That he hasn't. That,
Yes.
that that event hasn't gone live yet. But I had Paulette's show. I think it has took a couple of hours to go online. Christina set up the similar room for our masterclass, and that worked. Anyway, so
Oh God.
those on LinkedIn can say they can see a link to join on YouTube. Have to copy and paste the
So
link into the browser.
Alavine cannot join us. I'm going to try to send her the link the YouTube link,
Yeah.
which I think he sent me a moment ago.
Yeah, I can send it to her. So I'm on my DMs now.
I sent it to her already.
Okay. And
So
then
hopefully she can join us in studio.
so
Today
you
is not a good
so what
day.
you sent her the restream link or the YouTube link.
Hmm.
Which one of you sent her? The YouTube or the restream?
YouTube.
Okay. So join the studio to share. Anyway, you still got that light thing in your face, which is
Okay, let me go and put it off because I need to close my blinds. Just give me a moment, please. Let me
uh,
close my blind.
I used to the big picture. I don't know why I used to the big picture. Bill has
Pardon?
joined. Bill has joined.
Yay!
Oh,
And I dare say, like you said, you two,
Hello.
hey,
you two was quite a good show.
Hey.
It was a good show the other day. You two got on like a house on fire.
it was really actually it was a really a
It was
good show.
amazing.
It really
I
was.
really enjoyed it. We had so much more to talk about.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I had a 1 o'clock show and I just closed out, and
It's
so I
okay.
closed out and I just jumped over here.
Thank
Thank
you. We
you.
appreciate you.
Yes.
We had fun. I had fun.
Yeah, I did too. You have a soul that kind of comes across over the screen. You can feel people's energy. I don't know if you guys can, but
Hmm.
you could feel who is authentic and resonates with you, and you want to have more conversations, and then you can feel someone who is using your stage to promote themselves. And there's a big difference between the
Yeah.
two.
Mm.
Yeah.
True.
I enjoyed any as well, and it was very, very interesting because you and Christiana have a similar path but different.
Yeah.
Yes. In our upbringing and growing up. Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Hmm.
yeah.
We're both Nigerians to begin with.
That's why.
And we both
Well,
have the British
That,
accent
that,
and we
that,
wanted
that
to
was,
use we're Nigerians.
no, but it was also like both of you guys lived with your grandparents,
Hmm.
and then you came to London to live with your parents when you were a little bit older.
Hmm.
Um, I will never forget any story talking about. He said to his dad, "Which house is ours?" His father feeling like, "What?"
This child of mine.
Yeah, honestly, this house is ours. The next door must be yours, right?
Right?
Tiny, British houses. You're like, what the hell?
Yes,
No, there's nothing like it.
that's
Like,
so
where
true.
where
That is
where
so
is
true.
Camden?
yeah, it was in
Camden is in
London.
London.
Because just so, first of all, I don't want to take over your show. So,
No, it's fine.
um, but I'm a huge Janet Jackson fan, and Janet
Yes.
Jackson lives in Camden.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a really great area, or is it like what's it like?
Camden is more. She's in the right place for artists and unique people. Very artistic. Yeah, wouldn't you
Is it
say?
upscale? I
Tiffany?
mean, how would you describe it?
There
Like,
are
how would you
different
describe it?
parts of Camden. So
Okay.
Camden, you find a lot of artists, so graffiti artists in Camden. You'll find those who um back in the day, Camden had a lot of punk rockers,
Mm,
you know, um, when it was in vogue. So think of Camden as the whole space of punk rockers.
there you go. Okay.
And that's what draws people in. So you can go to like the markets and stores, you can buy, leather garments and things like that. It's just yeah. So
It's very expensive. It's an expensive place to
it,
live.
it is
Yeah, but the whole of
high
London is
chic.
very expensive. It's, I worked out the other day. I think if you have a car, you start off with like a £50 bill just to have a car.
Mm,
So every day you're paying that £50 congestion charge. If you live in Camden,
yes,
especially, so
yes.
congestion charge plus ULEZ,
Mm-hmm.
you're paying 50 just to have the car, just to start. Never
So that'll
mind.
be 65 for you guys, $65
Yeah, it's
A day.
every day. It's real money.
for every day.
Uh,
It's like it's real money.
Just to have a car, just to have a car.
God help you, God help you. If you miss a payment, then suddenly you got £100 bill, and
Wow.
Yes.
literally, then every day, I say every time I miss a payment, I get one letter today, another letter tomorrow. It's the same letter, same different bill. Just it
They
mounts
stalk you.
very quickly. It's,
So this is this. So I swear to God, I just finished my cast and came right over. So are we talking about lessons we learned from COVID?
no, no,
No.
no, no. We're talking about miscarriage. The
Then why do
silence
you have this
And
big background that says lessons we learned from COVID?
Emmy has
it's
his
me.
own background. He needs to
It's
put a different
me.
background. My
Yes.
background.
It's me, Bill. I tell you now, you can buy the book. Have you bought the book yet, Bill?
I ain't got no job.
Look, the ebook is there, right? Let me move out of the way. How do I move out of the way? There you go.
Okay,
QR
is it
code,
free?
Bill.
Is it free?
No,
Because
no.
I ain't got no money. I'm asking you for money, man. You just
The
talking
QR
about,
code. It's
you're
there.
talking about have you bought my book? I will when I get back on my feet. How's that?
That's all right.
Because
That's fine.
this is a moment for me.
Mm.
It's not my life,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and that's what
So,
we have
but,
to separate out.
how's it
Yeah.
going? You seem to be on the bounce back, right?
You know,
You got to keep moving forward.
well, so Christiana, in America, 2026 came in hard, and
Mm.
we were stripped of a lot of things
Yes. Yes.
like healthcare, and
Hmm.
I need healthcare and it's super expensive.
Government
And
jobs being thrown away.
yep,
Yes. Hmm.
and the black man and woman have been hit hardest with unemployment since
Absolutely.
2026.
Hmm.
Over a million people have lost their jobs,
Yes.
like black people, not
Yes.
not that's just that demographic, and it's double in the other demographic.
Hmm.
And one of the things that we have to remember, and I love the way you said this so eloquently, Christiana, is there's the truth and then there's what they taught us.
Yes.
And both you and Innie said that when you got to London and went to London schools, you felt like you were far further along than anybody else. But
Hmm.
that's not how they describe us.
No.
That's not,
No.
you know, so they don't look at Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and Ben Crump. They look at Little John and then they say that's the black person.
Mm.
And Little John is a persona, and he's
Hmm.
doing really great with that persona. If you think about it, he's making tons and tons of money, but the businessman behind that is remarkable. You look at Jay-Z and Beyonce, they're billionaires, but Jay-Z's persona is a gangster rapper, right?
Hmm.
So that's a persona. That's what he does to get money, and y'all are
Yes.
buying it. But the truth of the matter is, he takes your money and then he goes and invests it, and they are a dynasty
Yes.
outside of the music. Just outside of all that. And so, yeah, the first few months were difficult, and then um, now I'm feeling better. I'm
Good.
feeling like I can see and remember that I've overcome more than this right now.
Mm.
I think the challenge that I've had is that this is the third time I've rebuilt.
Yes.
So I lost everything in 2008 when the market crashed,
Hmm.
and then I
I know that
rebuilt
feeling
it.
too well.
Yeah, I rebuilt everything from 2012 to 2020. I owned a business and bringing in 26 million a year. That dropped because COVID knocked it out. And since
Hmm.
COVID, we're going through this 2026 phase
Yes.
where there aren't, because I've had a couple of consulting gigs in between that, but
Yes.
right now it's nothing. The well has dried up. My beautiful savings is gone, and it's just annoying.
Hmm.
So let's get me off stage right now, please, because I don't have no filters.
Please.
You don't need filters. You don't need filters. No.
No,
I
we
do.
are going to talk after the show.
I'm
Let's
saying that.
let's talk after the show.
Hold on.
I want to know
Yeah,
more.
for sure. I think I'm always
I
minded
did reach
to.
out to you, but I didn't hear from you, so
I'm
I
always
kind of thought, let me.
I'm always minded to thank Marsha. Martha. So Martha for the good work that she does. Really. And it's an inspiring story that you have, Bill. So we'll learn. Everyone expects everything to go smoothly. I think that you're a lesson that life does not. Life rarely goes smoothly, and we can't just give up on ourselves.
Any
Hence the full time job,
Hmm.
Annie.
one of the things that
Hence my full time job.
one thing I want to make sure of, and that's what I'm doing, is to let people know that it doesn't matter where you are, you can always rise above.
Hmm.
And so I can share all my good stories. They're fantastic. I've been all around the world. I can share it, you know, but there's also the times where I couldn't get out of bed.
Mm,
because life was
Mm-hmm.
just so I'm sorry, so heavy in that moment. And
Mm.
recognizing that that's just a moment is
mm,
what I'm compelled to share. I'm not sharing a sob story.
mm.
I'm sharing a
Mm-hmm.
story of resilience.
Yeah.
And every day is not perfect.
Mm,
Today it is.
Yes.
Tomorrow I can get a phone call. I'll be like, oh Lord, Annie, I'm coming to live with you in London. And I need you to pay for the flight.
you know.
All right. So that's enough about me.
But the resilient part is exactly one of the things that we're going to speak about on this show. Because although it's a different scenario, often when we go through loss of this nature, trauma of this nature, it's when we are picked to be the most resilient. Because when life gives you that kick in,
Mm,
you can in that moment you can choose to really move, navigate your way as you process, or you can choose to succumb and capitulate.
yeah.
So I just want to start again by saying thank you so much for joining us in this show.
Mm,
It's been a while. I've been off air, off LinkedIn for a month plus. I am back. There's been a lot happening behind the scenes that I wouldn't even bore you with. But I'm back and I'm starting this show back with the aftermath, the silent aftermath. What happens after the show stops, after the support stops? What happens after your phone rings and rings and rings? What happens after the phone calls stop coming in, or the doors? When things like this happen, we have revolving doors. What happens when the revolving doors closes down? You know, when I mean about it, when loss first happens, there's often an outpour of love, support, phone calls, messages, flowers, check-ins. And whether you're at work or you're in your personal life, there's that check-ins that your manager could be doing with you. But what happens after that stops? What happens when the noise, fades? When you're alone with your own thoughts, alone with your own physical being that is still processing the pregnancy, or maybe perhaps you're the man in that situation that is watching your partner going through that, your wife going through that, and experiencing that pain with them, and you watching your dream just be frittered away. So that's what we are talking about today. Before we begin, I want to say this. If you've ever experienced miscarriage or baby loss, you're not alone. I can attest to that. You're really not alone. The one thing that we don't talk about enough is this subject. The fact that your grief is real, it is valid. The fact that this space that we have cultivated is a safe space for you to talk about, to really come and share with us. And we're doing this now for over, I think, over 2 years, almost 2 years now. We've been doing this for, and we have had so many people join us to share, to ask questions, to be supported. This is a judgment-free zone. So there is no judgment. And as we go through this session, I'd love to engage with the audience. I love, as I always do, we love to engage with you. We hear from you. Let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know what time it is, and let us know what resonates with you in the discussions. Join us, have this conversation with us, because we'd love to hear from you. Here's one thing I'm going to say. There is something that many people don't think about. Okay, the true impact of grief. Some say, "Oh, haven't you quite gotten over that?" It's about 6 months now. Nobody can tell you how long you can grieve for. Nobody. No one has the right, no one has the audacity to tell you how long you can grieve about your loss. It's an individual journey, you know. And for many people, the grief, when the support ends, that's when the grieving begins. That's when the true impact of your loss begins. It isn't when people are with you, when people are around, because the support means that people try and support you to not really dwell on, to think about. I hear a lot of language in my practice. Oh, it's okay, you can try again. Oh, this, oh, that. And the reality is, no one can tell you that unless they have walked in your shoes. And so we're here to have this conversation to really check in as well with those experiencing this. Whether you're watching live or you're watching on replay, feel free to send me a DM if you're not able to have the conversation here. Whether you're on YouTube watching this, send a message and we will somehow find a way to get in contact with you should you need our support. So, with that being said, weeks later, months later, is when reality sets in. Okay? Reality for some people may look like the house being a lot quieter, the messaging is stopped, life around you continues, but you don't feel the pause. You've paused in moments where you have triggers. It could be a smell, it could be an image, it could be a phone call, it could be a voice, it could be anything. And then suddenly you're asking yourself, am I supposed to be okay now? Am I supposed to haven't gotten over this? When do I get over this? It's now the right time. And for some people, as my clients tell me, is this okay? You are questioning yourself constantly. You're second guessing yourself because you're not quite sure what is the right way or the wrong way. I'm here to tell you there is no right or wrong way. The only way is what feels right for you. Because although miscarriage happens to 1 in 4 for each individual and also for each pregnancy, it's very different. I will land my plane for a second. I want to welcome those in the studio with us right now, starting with Alavine. How are you doing, Alavine? Can you hear me?
Yes, hello, I can hear you 100%. You know, I don't know why, but when you sent me the link to come here, I've tried so hard. It was impossible. I was ejected. I don't know why.
Oh
And
no.
yes, LinkedIn closed all of the sudden. I don't know why. And after that, you sent me the YouTube link. I was able to hear you, to listen to you. And after any send me the same link. I think it is the same link. Okay, restream. And I let's say I tried it just once, and I'm here. So I'm happy to be here. Hello, and that's all for now. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you. I'm well, thank you so much. Thank you, Alavine, for being here. I love the fact that you support us all of the time and you're constantly here. So thank you so much
Yes.
and welcome once again.
Welcome. So, Jack and Paulette, we see you. You know, um,
Hi.
again, no, it's
Oh
a
my
good point.
goodness.
It's the same with every bereavement. People will cross the road, because I guess we don't know what to say, and that's when we're being actively helpful. You know, is
Yes.
it afterwards? Because there's all, as you say, Christiana, there's always that moment. There will be a moment when we say, right, we've done enough. We have to get back to living our normal life. Yeah, it happens in every situation, right? People are gonna go, it's not my business. It's your, no, it's your business. Is the way that people look at it, right? And go back to their
Yes.
lives eventually. Whether it's today, whether it's
Mhm.
next week, but they will go back to their lives. And yeah, normally, you're left holding the baby. You know that the saying goes, when the music stops and you're left
Mm.
holding the baby. Well, I should say,
Or holding no
yeah,
baby
you're left
in this
holding no
case.
baby. And that's a problem. That's you know.
Emmy, some people actually do forget. They forget that you've experienced this trauma. They forget, especially for those who were perhaps under 22, 24 weeks, they're not visibly pregnant, and that loss happens. So people who would see a pregnancy visibly, they may think, oh my goodness, yes, it's a reminder. For those who experience this loss that didn't have a visible pregnancy, they're forgotten. That's the truth.
Mm.
Because, oh my goodness, oh, I forgot that happened to you. It's only when you're in conversation, perhaps a few months later or a year later, that people remember, oh, the penny drops. I did forget about you, because they expect you to remind them of your trauma.
You know,
And it's not your job to remind people of your
it's either
trauma.
you really, they expect you to remind them, or I think they just genuinely forget. They genuinely just go back to themselves. They just literally,
Their normal life, yes.
they're like,
Yes, they do.
and I mean,
They do.
I think that maybe the more harmful thing is that they expect you to do the same. Like you
That's
said just
exactly
now.
what I'm talking about. Hmm.
You asking yourself when, is it all right for me? Can I be all right now? And again, I
Hmm.
think for a man, no, it's a minefield.
Mm.
Because yes, him and her are there to support each other. But then
Yes,
I can well imagine, one is ready to move on quicker than the other one. I say like
sometimes.
right, and then and there's no rules around who will be whether the man will be more ready or the woman will be more ready. But literally, you know, and if if one feels ready to move on, I
Hmm.
mean, it's simple things in life. Can you tell a joke? Can you laugh? These are the things that it sounds small, but they're huge things. You know,
They are. So here's what I always say. The real and true importance of communication
mm,
is that when you communicate, and I mean for couples, to truly have that conversation, because sometimes when you are hurting, when you don't know how to be in yourself, is the moment that you should be having conversations.
mm, mm,
Because when couples become silent, that's when it becomes dangerous. People think it's when they're quiet, it's when things are great. No, when you become silent, it's when it becomes a danger zone. Because what tends to happen is people become used to their ways.
mm,
There's no communication. Then you put a huge distance between each other. And next thing you know, one is leaving home and the other is by themselves.
mm,
So this trauma does, and I've seen this with families, with couples, does result and can result, I should say, can result in relationship
mm,
breakdowns. And in the past, we've had, men who've been on this show to express exactly how that happened, how they ended up separating in their relationships because of the lack of communication, because you constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells. You're not entirely sure what to say, how to be, how to sit even in your own household. And then what tends to happen is for the men, they become more, they find all the hours God sent at work, you know? And if you're here in the UK, they will go to the pub and sit down and drown their sorrows, as opposed to going home to face exactly what their feelings are, to express themselves. So I always suggest and recommend that you have those difficult conversations. And there are many ways you can do that. You know, I have an activity which is the 15 minutes talk stop. That's what I call it. So what that means and what that looks like is this. You have a couple in a room, or they can choose whatever space they want to choose in a private space. I wouldn't advise an open space because it's difficult behind closed doors. Or you can come away from home if your home environment doesn't allow for that to happen. Book yourself a hotel. They do day hotels, or wherever you want to have a private space, and allow each party to speak without interruption. Okay. And sometimes that is the most difficult
mm,
exercise to undertake, because you want to, in that moment, with raw emotions, you want to respond immediately. But you've got to sit there for 15 minutes and allow your partner to speak and hear the uncomfortable things they want to say or they have to say, hear how they're feeling. I've watched women watch their men speaking, and the penny drops, and for the first time they're hearing the real truth, the true impact, and what is happening in their mind. So it's really important that we don't forget communication. Communication got us to that pregnancy point. It takes two, as I like to say. It's a two-person sport. It takes two to get there. Therefore, when it comes to the loss, it cannot take one person. It has to take two people. And if you really want to save your relationship, you have to listen, because it's in listening that we have understanding. And once you get to understand the other party's thoughts and feelings, it may help you to alleviate the self blame and self negative talk that you tell yourself. So communication is one thing. The second thing is also communication, but is a non-verbal communication. So the first is verbal communication, second is non-verbal communication, and really getting to understand and read your partner's body language. Whether it's their size that they make, or how their body is placed, or how they even communicate when they're doing things. What is happening? Are they frustrated? Are they closed in? Really watching for those cues. I'm making the assumption that hopefully you'll have known your partner long enough to really gauge their isms, as I like to call it. Okay? Because if you haven't, that's also another opportunity for you to start to learn. Perhaps it's you're both new to each other. Perhaps you haven't spent along with each other. It's really understanding each person's ism for you to be able to function and to process and navigate this journey. Once you've gotten the communication aspect, is then thinking, okay, we need clarity. The communication leads you to the clarity. Okay, we need clarity. We also need the next steps. And for some, it's rebuilding the confidence that you need to be able to look at the next steps. So I'm going to pause my mic here for now and see if you have any questions for the time being.
Bill, do you have a question or anything you want to say? Otherwise, I will happily
I can ask some questions, of course, any.
go for it.
I love to hear the sound of my own voice. No, what what sticks out to me is twofold. Um, when you were talking about grief
Mm,
and people kind of going on with their lives, what I first thought about was as a man, I
mhm.
don't understand everything that's going on with the woman's body
Yes.
and that connection. And so there's a couple of stages that you hit on, right? So the first 26 weeks where people don't even know you're pregnant.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's the part where you're showing. I believe that I would find it awkward to walk up and say anything.
Mm,
And that's my admission. Like
Mm, mm,
what do you do? Because I don't want to trigger somebody.
hmm.
You know, I don't want to say what happened. How are you? I would probably take you to lunch and you know be there because that's my way of being. Well, any
Hmm.
not right now. I ain't taking nobody to lunch, but regularly I would take you to lunch, or maybe
Yes.
we would go to a concert, or I would be there physically for you.
Yes. So
But I
time.
don't know if I would ever at any point want to bring it up unless you brought it up. So how do we
Yes.
navigate that?
mm,
That's a great question, Bill. I'm glad you asked that question. I get asked this question a lot, you know, and that is one thing that I know others I speak to, family, friends, colleagues, employers, HR partners, ask that question. It's the fear of putting your foot wrong, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of not being sensitive enough to what that party could be experiencing. There is nothing wrong in asking questions. It's asking the right questions. So in that case, I want to ask a question right now. When you say going up to the person, are we looking immediately after, a few months down the line? When are you thinking? Because it comes in stages. Ultimately, if we're looking at someone who just experienced miscarriage and baby loss, and we know we've just said that for the first few weeks, people are going to be trying to support you, love and attention, and so on and so forth. Are we referring to immediately after the loss or down the line after the loss?
I'm talking about
Okay.
both.
Okay. So immediately after the loss, the one good thing that you can do is really offer your empathy. And empathy goes like this: I'm so sorry for your loss. Just anything that I can do to support you in any way, please do let me know. The first thing is you are letting the person know exactly that you are there for them, that you are happy to support them, that you care, you're acknowledging their pain, what they're going through is valid and it's real, and leave that for them to show you or tell you how they want you to connect with them. Much later down the line, there is nothing wrong in checking in. Just let the person know I'm checking in. I know that previously there was a lot of, I can see that you had a lot of support coming through. There are people around you. What happens after that support is gone, or that support lessens rather? It's a check-in. And you just need to let the person know that you are just checking in. And once again, they will appreciate that and respond to you according to how they see fit or how they feel. The opposite side is when we have these experiences and we are left with no comment at all. It leaves the party or the parties feeling like no one cares, or that pain is necessarily valid. And so it's really important that you let them know that you're just checking in. You know, how are you doing? Is there anything that you need? Please do know that I'm here. You can reach out at any time, at any point. Letting the person know that you care enough and that you are there to support, that you are a judgment free zone is more than enough to begin with. And that's what sometimes people get wrong. People avoid the conversation because they're too afraid to say the wrong thing, to be insensitive, and so on and so forth. It doesn't harm you or them for you to ask the question, just to show support. And then when they do say, I need your support, listen and not offer what you think will be the right support for them. It's about listening and actioning what they've requested for. Make the time. I think, Bill, we spoke about something earlier when we were talking about giving time. You know, giving time. I say this when it comes to employers. When employers say, let's try and have a back to work meeting, let's try and, you know, make room for adjustments for your return, or for you to be able to work in a work environment. And then they book a schedule a meeting for that discussion to happen. And then what tends to happen is there is another appointment immediately after your meeting without any allowances for when that meeting, or if and when your meeting runs over. They're cutting that meeting short because now they've booked something straight after your meeting, which puts them under pressure. My advice is always to leave a good gap, an hour to 2 hours gap in between your meeting and the next meeting, just to give that respect and be courteous. So, yes, oh my goodness, it is the mental health cafe queen herself. Yay!
Hello,
It's so nice to
how are
see
you?
It's been too long.
I've
You
been
look
in
fresh faced
hiding.
as usual. Can't hide from us.
Well, I just felt that this conversation was too important not to join, because
Thank
not
you.
only talking from a perspective of helping other people like yourself,
Mhm.
but also I've got a friend who at 30 weeks lost their baby. So it was very evident.
Mhm.
Everybody was on the countdown. Everybody was ready. The nursery was finished.
Yes.
And the nursery was Mrs. Havisham went in there. It was cobwebs and God knows what else, and dust, and
Wow.
it was just shut. The door was shut because there were literally so many parcels unopened that were all from the baby showers and things like that she just couldn't even bring herself to open. And I remember having to sit with her for hours as a friend, not as a
Yes.
therapist, although one hat is usually the same hat, right? But she kept saying to me, I can't look at the outfits because I can't look at the outfits and not imagine the baby in them. And I thought that was really poignant,
Yes.
because it's a moment where you can't, you've carried something, you've fallen in love with something. And yes, a man can feel the movement of the baby and has equally excited and felt all the moments, and it could be done the one might have helped decorate the nursery and got all of that excitement. But you carried that baby and you fell in love with that baby as part of you. And it's like losing an arm or a leg. And when you say that to somebody, they sort of look at you as if you're mad, because you're like, you haven't lost a limb, have you? And you're like, but it's as near as, because I grew something that was going to have a future, that was going to have a life, that was going to go on to wear all these clothes, to live in that cot, to sleep in that bassinet. There's all these things that went through her mind. And I had to say to her in the end, you need something to love. And I know that sounds very strange, but I said to her, you need something to love. And until you're ready to try again, and she certainly wasn't ready to try again for a while. It was a good, well over a year of serious one-on-one therapy, and also seeing a psychotherapist, because she was broken. But we went and got a puppy dog
Yes.
from the local was Battersea Dogs Home, and it was the best thing we ever did, because she loved that puppy dog. I mean, it never got dressed up in the baby's clothes or anything like that. But once the puppy was there and she was hugging it and loving it and pouring all this love and energy into it, her husband saw what was happening. And then he too fell in love with the dog in a really weird way. It was like he didn't know if he was allowed to, because it was like it was her dog. And am I allowed to share, because it's your thing to love? And then gradually it became their family, the three of them. It was them two and the dog, and then the Christmas card came from them two and the dog. And then it was only months after that she started saying to me, will you help me clear the nursery out? And I said, no, that's for you and your husband to do, but I don't think you need to clear it out. I think you just need to dust it down, tidy it up, put everything away, put it in big boxes, put it underneath the cot or wherever. Come back to it. You haven't got to do anything about getting rid of stuff, or because there will be a baby. Just
Yes.
because you've got a puppy now doesn't mean there won't be a baby. It's just you've got a puppy now. The baby comes later. And I think that was kind of crucial, So I don't know if that's of any help to anyone, but I think when you really understand, I mean, I know what baby loss feels like, and it is heartbreaking. And I had to have a DNC to make sure everything had been passed. And I was in a room with people having abortions, and I was like, this is completely wrong. How can you think this is? I know it's a similar procedure, but seriously, like, I'm lying here heartbroken, and I'm with these people that are treating it like a contraception, you know. And
Mm.
I found that very difficult as an empath. I wanted to feel sorry for these girls. They were only youngsters, but inside I was like, why God give them babies and not me? Why am I
Yeah.
losing mine and they're getting rid of that? I kept arguing with this vision in my head of like the reckoning of why is this right.
Mm.
And the other thing I wanted to say, which I thought was something you brought up about husbands, you know, I can remember my friend saying, and he puts the bloody football on. You know, it's like
Mm.
he always put the football on. He always
Mhm.
watched the football. Why would he not watch the football just because we've not got a baby? That is a habit that he's had for forever. It's not like it was some. Sorry, my coffee done before I drop it. You know, it's not like he's just suddenly, you know, developed this watching football habit, but it was
Mm.
like a heinous crime. And I had to try
Yeah.
and be reasonable with her and say, look, you're not being fair. You know, he's
Mm.
not doing anything wrong. He's not doing anything unjust. He's not out having affairs. He's not out down the pub getting peed up every night. He's broken and he doesn't
Yeah.
know how to handle it. And
But
so
Pauline,
don't take the
Paulette,
football.
sorry, that's part of his coping mechanism.
Mm,
Get that? We all have days of coping with the same loss. Men are different. This is
yes.
why we say men are from Mars and women are from Venus. We have our own separate ways of coping with the same loss. As I mentioned previously, nobody can tell you how to grieve for the same thing. You have to take control of your own grieving process and processing. You got to take control of your emotions, how you want to express them. So long as you are communicating in a I would say in a kind manner, so long as you're not harming somebody else, I really believe that we all have the right to choose how we process our loss. Just to go back to what you said, and thank you very much for sharing that with us. I really appreciate. I always appreciate your contribution. You know, sometimes you're not always here, but when you are here, you bring it. You bring it. Okay. Just to go back, for those who are watching, DNC is a process of removal of your fetus from the cervix, from the womb. So anyone who doesn't know what that is going to a surgical process. The baby is taken out of you, and for some, well, not even for some, for most women, if not all women, after the loss of a pregnancy, your body is still processing. And I think we forget that. You know, just because you go through that procedure, the pregnancy isn't ended. You are still having to process the whole. I mean, in my case, not to get into graphics, you're still bleeding. You're still losing that pregnancy and still rocking up to work while you're still losing that pregnancy. You know, and so there's a lot that's going on in the mind as well as your physical being. The
And your
one thing I'm going to say,
hormones.
and of course, that was my next thing. The one thing I'm going to say is your hormones are still doing gymnastics, because from one moment to another, your body, because don't forget our bodies were created with hormones, right? When we get pregnant, the hormones multiply, and we have so many things happening at the same time. We lose the baby, but our hormones do not stop happening. Weirdly, your craving doesn't just stop overnight just because your baby's gone. Your body's still processing. But what I was going to say is we have the men who watch all of these things happen. Sometimes, if not most times, they don't understand it. They don't understand from moment to moment, from A to Z, what is going on, let alone what it looks like physically, and how, for many of us, we all demonstrate, manifest it in such different ways. You know, the moods, the this, the that. It's a minefield for our men. And I always say patience and communication is really important. And I so love what you said when you said to your friend, it's football. He's not out there doing all sorts, because there are men that will find coping mechanisms in different spaces, in different places. And so football isn't something that anyone should really prevent the man from doing so. That's his
And
coping
especially if
mechanism.
it was something they always did. He
Exactly.
wasn't doing anything wrong, but it was as if by
Mm-hmm.
turning on the football, he was normalizing the situation, right? We're
Yes. Yes.
over all of that and putting the football on. No,
Mm-hmm.
that was just
Mm-hmm.
something he always did, and he was trying to normalize his mind. And as you say, it's a coping mechanism. But as a
Yes.
woman, sometimes we forget that, and I don't often stand up for men because I'm not a man hater, but in this particular, no, I mean it, because I always am sort of kind of a bit of a Me Too girl. But what I would say is, in this situation and in many other situations where there's bereavement, quite often it's the daughter or the daughter-in-law who's left to pick up all the bits, do the work, deal with the funeral directors, deal with this, deal with that, because the husband or the male partner just doesn't quite know what to do with all these emotions.
Hasn't
And
arrived.
so as a consequence, you
Mm-hmm.
see that in bereavement of all kinds, where they just suddenly shut down. And I think with baby loss, it is a bereavement. It's no different from any other. It's absolutely a bereavement. But other people perceive it as, oh, it was a heavy period. You know, just
Mm-hmm.
put it down to that. And you're like, you what? You do what? You know, you want to. And I remember someone saying to me, well, just get back on the horse. And I looked,
I beg your pardon. What horse?
I'm like,
I
get
wanted
back
the
on
word in
the
the first
horse, you
place.
know. Oh yeah, you know, of course I will, you know. And I know what they mean. I knew what they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to say. Come on, you know, you need to get back into, you know, life and stop moping around and da 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 da. And I was like, you know, I'm like fiery. I should be a redhead. I, I was like, you know, how dare you? And then I saw other people who were could have babies, had got pregnant accidentally or whatever, and it felt like there was such an unjust world. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
just stand in the middle of this room
And
and
scream.
scream at everybody and like tell them, "Don't! I'll have it. I'll give it to me." You know, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's one of those things that they will just perceive it as a procedure in their
Yes.
mind. It's a
Mm-hmm.
procedure. I'm just getting rid of a problem, right? And then I have to move on. My life moves on. I think with us, when it's something you want so badly,
Mm-hmm.
and like with my friend, and at 30 weeks, we really did think we were so over. There wasn't any chance this was going to happen, not in a million years. And when it didn't just affect her, it affected all of us, the people that arranged the baby shower, the people that were at the wedding, the people at the bridesmaids. Every
Mm-hmm.
one of us was all like zoom around her. But like you said, all of a sudden you go, I don't know what else to say. I'll
Mm-hmm.
step back. And then you go, I had a phone call and it was very stilted. So guess what you do? You don't phone
Let's go
again.
again.
So you
Yes.
step back. And
Mm-hmm.
then you go, oh, well, I haven't spoken to her for a month. Oh, maybe it's best I don't then, you know? And then
Yes.
before you know where you are, distance starts to occur and people start to kind of like ricochet away from you. And what you really want them to do is ricochet towards you, but you
Yes.
don't know how to say it. And that's something I think if the message we can give anybody, for me anyway, my message that I wanted to say is that if there's anything we tell you today that makes any sense, is whatever the bereavement, and especially with baby loss, I think ricochet towards, don't ricochet
Yes.
away, because you are needed to be, even if you think you might say the wrong thing, like get back on the horse, I mean, yeah, that was pushing it, that one.
Yeah.
I just think that it's better they say that than not say anything at all. I
Mm.
would rather them be there saying something than go one step, two step, three step, four step, move further and further away from me until that there's no conversation at all. And then you're just left with this silence between the two of you. Whereas other people can interject and help pull you together again. And I remember someone saying to me, "But you still love each other?" And I'd be like, that was never in question.
Yeah,
Question?
exactly.
I don't remember saying that. But it was like my behavior didn't say that.
Mm.
My behavior said, I blame you. My behavior said, it's got to be someone's fault. I want someone to blame. My behavior said, I'm angry. My behavior said all kinds of weird things that my hormones told me to say. No different to, as Lisa would tell you with the menopause and perimenopause. Your hormones are making you a mad woman in some ways. And I remember pushing away the one person that you want to pull towards you. And it's something that you have to really work at and look inwards. And I'm lucky that I've, over the years, grown up with around a lot of my friends who'd had children much younger. And so I'd seen some of this and it did help me. But I think that you and your service and what you do has been needed for the last 30 years and hasn't been there. And I can say that as a 61, nearly 62-year-old woman, I know your service was needed and it wasn't there. It was brushed under the carpet. Come on, get back on the horse, stop whinging, stop moaning, back to work and move forward. And that is the realization of that. And now knowing what you're doing is the most beautiful thing that I think that you could, as a service, it's the most beautiful thing someone can do. A great funeral director sounds really weird, but I've been through quite a few deaths, and I don't mean babies. I'm talking about losses. I've met some really rubbish funeral directors, and I've met some amazing funeral directors, right? Not the type that stand there going, oh yes, now how much can I charge you? You're not those sort. The loving kind, the ones that show you that they actually care. And
Yes.
the point I'm going to say is in exactly the same way that empathetic, loving, caring, I'll hold your hand, I'm here for you service that they offer is, in a funny way, the same service you're offering, but there's no funeral and there isn't an actual kind of memorial of any kind, but it's just a service of loss, and I'm here to help you with that loss. And I
Yes.
think that is a beautiful thing that has been needed for forever. And I commend, as always, a
Thank
marvelous,
you.
marvelous service. Well done, you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Paulette. So let me come back to what you said. Thank you. I really appreciate, like I said, whenever you come to this event, you drop your gems and you bring it on. You just bring it. So one thing you were saying, here's what I know. Sometimes speaking of when the doors are closed in the aftermath, what I find worse at times is this, especially in my practice, is when the person seems to be smiling. You know, that day when they have, they're out, they just want to put a brave face on, like, oh, she's better now. No one gets to see behind closed doors. No, they're not better. They're just putting on a brave face because they're in fear of the worst that could happen if they don't get up and keep moving. Right? I was on the floor for what felt like 2 weeks of my bathroom floor. My husband had to peel me off the floor and carry me out and say to me, I can't have you on this floor because I know you're hurting and I know you. And it's about understanding and knowing your partner enough to know when to step in those ways to help and support them. You know, the second thing that you mentioned is the ways in which you expressed your loss, the behaviors. And the behaviors for me is a non-verbal conversation, non-verbal behavior, non-verbal, you know, thoughts and expressions that I spoke about when I talked about doing my exercises with couples, the 15 minutes without interruption. The non-verbal ones is having to understand the behaviors. And the key thing is knowing each other. You know each other well enough, but when it comes to this particular trauma, people have said to me, I didn't think they were like that. They didn't think that that would come out of them. Okay, especially for the women that have hormones running, we have hormones running across in us all over the place, head all over the place, body all over the place, best self ever at all in those moments. And those behaviors, those non-verbal communication comes out by way of anger, by way of frustration, by way of just leave me alone. I don't want to see anybody, talk to anybody right now, or I want this. And there are just so many ways that it comes out as a non-verbal cues. And it's really important that in those moments, we pause. We take a pause. If you are the man watching your woman go through this, take a pause, lean in and hug that person. Even if they're saying to you, I don't want your hug right now, I just want to be alone. Lean in, because the temptation is to walk off and think, well, you're not the only person who is grieving. I too am grieving. Lean in, because that's where the reconnection begins. And then the verbal conversation, verbal communication also begins. Because when you are in that moment long enough, having a positive pulse, one of you is going to start a conversation. And that takes understanding and that takes patience to do so. It's really important. The third point I'm going to make is this: because of the lack of understanding is the reason why I'm thinking that what you mentioned, Paulette, bleeding out is just, oh, she's just having another period. But the reality is you're in bereavement, you're grieving. It's the reason why it took our government so long to bring in the 10 days bereavement after a loss of this nature as a legal requirement in a workplace. How many years, how many losses are people experiencing? So there's still work that needs to be done, and also the same thing applies to men. Initially, men's grief were not, or was not acknowledged, was not valid, and therefore they could not take any time out. Going back to paternity leave, look how long it took for that to happen. Now the case is having to bring in bereavement leave, paid bereavement leave, right? Because in the past, we've had to take sick leave. We're not sick. We're grieving. We're in a loss, or you take unpaid leave to go through the bereavement of losing a child. So there's a lot that needs to be done with this. Is the aftermath, and that's the part of the aftermath that no one considers. What happens?
One other thing you just said that's very relevant as well. My friend had given up work because she was 30 weeks, right? And so she'd decided she'd got a lot of holiday. So she added her holiday plus the maternity break that she could have. So she'd finish work expecting to go into maternity leave. And her husband went back to work.
Yes.
And I got the phone call that she was at the top of the multi-story car park. And I know why she phoned me, because she knew that I would be parked by the side of her as soon as I could be, right? And didn't let the phone go until I was by the side of her. So I know why it was me she phoned and not anyone else. And also she knew that I would be able to walk out of work at any point or do whatever because I was the boss. But the point I was going to make was that when your partner goes back to work, because that's what happens, and then you're left at home with the door that is closed because you can't even face that word N. You can't even say the N word, and it's not a bad word, it's a nursery word.
Yes.
But you can't actually even say that word. So that stop you. And in the name of the baby, you can't, even though you've buried the baby, you've given it a name, because at that number of weeks, it's a proper funeral. We all attended, which in some ways does help because there is a finality to it. But in another way, I think it makes no difference at all, because I just feel that the point that you made was that he went back to work and she was at home on her own.
Yes.
And she was left with all those feelings, that door, and oh, by the way, and there was a pram in the hallway.
Wow.
And of course there would be, at that
course,
point,
yes,
you were
yes,
ready, right?
Yes.
And I remember saying to her, I think if you speak to your company, I'm sure they'll take you back sooner, rather than take some time off. Take a month or so off, and maybe then you'll be ready to go back to work. And she was like, how can I face everybody? And I'm like, they're going to be more worried about what they say, not what you say to them. I will speak to your boss as your therapist, not as your friend. And I will tell them that you just want to be normal. Please treat me normally when I come back. And then, of course, we got the puppy, and then that was hysterical. And because I was responsible for the carpet, I had to buy a new carpet. I never did buy a new carpet, but this puppy was, chaotic, pooed and weed everywhere. But the thing was, it gave her such focus to keep cleaning up, and I didn't care how much I used to laugh. I'd go, really? So you're rubbish at house training then, make a big joke of it, it's not my fault, it's your puppy, but you made me get it. But the thing I was trying to say was that when that husband goes back to work, or the partner goes back to work, and you are left in solitary.
Yes.
And solitude is a very scary place to be mentally when you are unstable. Your hormones are shot, you're broken, you're heartbroken and broken, you're traumatized, and you're carrying the weight of the world, because you think everyone's blaming you. You think everyone thinks that it's your fault you haven't got a baby. And, everything is about, you must have done something, and, I've got to go because Charles has me dinner. But I just wanted to say that it's so important to mention that there is a blame factor here that we tend to put on ourselves. And she certainly did. And I think that's another part of the bereavement story, that, if someone dies naturally, it's very sad they've died. But when you lose something that you were looking forward to, it's something new, it's a new life.
Yes.
That feels like a very different kind of ache. It's a very different kind of pain. And it made me go and read a lot of books,
Yes.
because it's not like the bereavement that I've been qualified to talk to, like from Marsden, you know, the bereavement counselling. It's nothing like that at all. It comes with so much more emotion, so much.
Yes.
That's not fair. Different emotion, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that. I remember going to bereavement counseling, and by the time it came to the second session, I was like, I'm done. This is not what I need for me. It is not applicable. It isn't something I knew it wasn't going to be helpful for me. And this might be different for everybody because we all have different ways. Perhaps it was just that particular individual, but it wasn't working for me. I took to what I would call the digital jungle, because in my area, and this is the other thing, is when you're experiencing this, you're looking for that support. You're looking where to go, and there weren't a lot of places to get this specific type of support. That sat here today is because I couldn't get the answers. I couldn't get what I was looking for, or even knew what it was I was looking for to begin with. And it's really having to say, okay, let me do some more research. Let me look at this thing that I've experienced 3 times. Why? What is out there? What support? What research is happening? Is this something that could be stopped? Is there research? It's like a little bit like we're doing cancer research. I believe that we still need to keep on the baby loss research. There is no one size fits all, it's not a cookie cutter. It's just having to experience that yourself and understanding your own journey. And going out there for me was, I need to find out what's happening. And through trying to find answers for myself, I began to get questions from other people when I spoke about this. And so it's really important that if you're going through this, do not isolate yourself. If you're watching this right now and experiencing this trauma, or have experienced this trauma, but still feeling lost, still feeling like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with myself. Whether you're a man or a woman, do not isolate yourself. Know that you're not alone. There are people that can help you. We are here. Really take a moment for yourself. If you're a couple, please don't stop communicating. Sometimes the communication part is really difficult. Find a way, your own way of communicating to each other. Find a way to communicate. Take a time. And I mentioned this earlier on, the pause. When you have 15 or 10 minutes with each other, give that person the time, give them the floor. Say you've got 10 minutes. Let them speak for that 10 minutes period. Express themselves in whatever way they want to express themselves, whether it's pacing up and down whilst they're talking, or they sat down, or they're laying down, or they're watching football whilst they're talking to you. It's finding what works for them. Give them the 10-15 minutes window before you then have your turn, and let them wait for you too. It's really important.
Lastly, can I just jump in, because I've been
Yes.
told my dinner's ready. It was just to say that one of the things that my friend said to me, and I remember thinking when it happened to me, I mean, Ben was one of 2, as you know, twin, and we lost one. And
Yes.
the thing was, people didn't know. So therefore I didn't have to explain. But if I'd lost Ben as well, they would have known. So I was just pregnant, that's all they knew, right? And everyone was like, I can't believe at 39, But the point I was going to say to you is, when I had my miscarriages, and there were many, the thing that I remember was I saw so many bloody babies. And I don't mean bloody babies nastily. I mean just everywhere I blooming went. There were
Those
baby on
babies,
board
yes.
stickers everywhere, right? and you just want to rip them off and go, fertile, good for you, smack, and you don't know why you feel like that. You can't explain it
Hormones,
because
Paulette,
it's
hormones.
princess on board. Oh really? It's the princess you've got, is it? You feel like that, right? And then another thing that happened was I kept just seeing babies I know when you manifest something, and I believe this to be true.
Yes.
When you manifest something like a red car, all you see is red cars everywhere, right?
Yes.
It's a fact. That's just a known fact. When you manifest a baby,
Everybody's pregnant.
physically manifest a baby, guess what? You're going to see babies everywhere, right? Of course
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
And when you don't have one, you're the one that's left without the red car, without the baby, without the anything,
You feel
and
worse.
empty. You've got empty arms. And I
Yes.
remember saying to somebody, my arms are always going to be empty, aren't they? And that was a really big realization that I'd got Jack, my nephew, who I had pretty much every other weekend because I sort of said he's half mine. And my brother was kind enough to let me have a big share of him because they were building a business and they needed some time to work. So it was like great. I was single. I'd got this baby, and I taught him how to shoplift. Well, not literally, but he did nick some Teletubby toast once. For Marks and Spencer's, I got told off about that. But the thing was, he was, thank goodness, he was who I poured my heart into. The books are called Jack and Water after him because he was the baby that I never had. He was my surrogate. He was my puppy. All right. My friend had a puppy dog. I had a borrowed baby. I had Jack. And, he's 29 now. And, he was my squidgy thing that I had to love. And I mean, goodness me, he used to stand behind my legs if anyone came. And I used to feel like he was mine. Do you know what I mean? That feeling. And then I used to have to give him back. And it felt like I was like in a shared relationship. Because I used to feel like, and my brother said to me once, you're very attached to Jack, it's not healthy. It's not healthy, And I was like, of course it's healthy. He's just my nephew. It's my favourite nephew. He said, he's your only nephew. I was like, yeah, that's true. But the point is, I needed something to love. And that is something we need to remember when we are talking about baby loss, whether it's an animal, whether it's even if it's just a new blankie, even if it's just something to huddle up into.
Yes.
You just need something to feel like comfort. I think it's empty arms
It's
and
emptiness.
comfort.
Yes. It is the emptiness. The biggest thing is you feel that emptiness and you want to fill that hole, that gap, that space. And the only way you can do it is look at either other people's children, whether it be nephew, niece, or getting a puppy, or for some they take up a different hobby that they have never tried before because they would have done other things. The usual norm to them isn't where they want to be. There is that pull because in that emptiness is the isolation and you don't want to think about
Absolutely.
what they might do to themselves or do, for stop. And when you are surrounded by people who, like you said, there are babies everywhere. The thought of going to a baby shower, the thought of going to a christening, the thought of seeing another child, you're happy for them genuinely, but you still cannot face being in that space in those moments. Because for you to be there, will you're afraid of what you might do.
Yes,
You're afraid of what
absolutely.
you might do.
And my
Not that you
husband
will
might
harm
just do some in my
anybody.
dinner in a minute, so I'm going to go and say love
Okay.
you. Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Glad I could come.
Thank you. Thanks,
Take care.
Paulette.
Bye,
See you
lovelies. Bye
soon.
bye.
So you're afraid of what you might do. Not that you would harm someone. It's that thought of, do I want to scream? Do I want to fall on the floor? Do I want to clutch something? What am I going to do with myself? Therefore, I am better off removing myself from this situation right now by avoiding completely anything. The other side of the coin is for those that are holding the baby shower, there are times they avoid telling you or inviting you because they're afraid of you being triggered or how that will impact you. You know, here is what I always say: give the individual the option, because when they do find out they have been rejected, because that's how it feels, and isolated, it really makes them feel less than or devalued. So again, this whole this whole space is about understanding compassion, understanding the right questions, understanding when to, when not to, how to, and how not to. And that's what we're about in this space, is helping you to really understand this whole loss and trauma. Okay.
Yeah.
I will yield my mic right there. I think we have been on this thing long. I don't want
Yes.
anyone to yes, I could be here all day talking about this, but I won't do that
No,
because I
no,
think
only for an hour. Only for an hour,
I've,
please. Only for an hour. Don't forget.
I've,
Only for an hour.
I've got to go
Only for an
soon.
hour, she says. Yes.
But when
Please,
we think
right.
about it, it's that thing of the grieving, the silence, the processing alone, especially for men, processing
Hmm.
alone. You know, I remember we spoke about this in a in a few shows ago, where men have disclosed that they feel like strangers in their own home with this trauma. It's coming home and not knowing where to place yourself and feeling like you're walking on eggshells because you're unsure how to be. You know, that's the reason why it's important that we keep communicating. Really, really important, because we're still processing. We have that emotional suppression for men that they try to suppress their emotions because we're taught that they're not supposed to talk on mental health. Just be strong. You're a man. You'll be fine. You know, you'll be better tomorrow. The reality is they're dying on the inside
Hmm.
quietly with no one caring. The relationship becomes quite strained. You know, they don't even speak to the boys. That's the other thing as well. We think that with this kind of conversations, they don't even, and it's not all the men, I'm not generalizing here. I'm speaking from my experience, my practice. They don't share those things with their boys because they don't even know how to share this conversation, this experience. They will talk about football, they will talk about work, they will talk about all kinds of things. When it comes to, pregnancy, baby loss, they don't really divulge that information, or in fact, if they do, they don't discuss or express how they are truly feeling. So it's really important that we do,
Hmm.
you know, um, that we do express how we feel. Otherwise, we find ourselves at the very wrong end. For some, they choose to enliven themselves, which is not where we want to be. Mental health is real in these situations. This experience really has an impact on people's mental health. And you heard Pauline talk about the impact when it comes to friends. For those who, disclose that they're pregnant, the whole family is involved, everybody's involved. When you have a baby shower, when that baby then becomes deceased, it's the struggle of having to wrap your heads around it. It impacts your whole circle
Hmm.
without you meaning to. And people will be there at the beginning and then you'll be isolated. So, yes, let me hear from both of you before we disappear on this show. I want to thank you for still being here. And thank you so much for always supporting this these discussions. We truly appreciate you guys, both those in the studio with us and those that are watching online.
Hmm.
Thank you. Eddie, do we have any questions at all before you guys?
No, let's give Bill and Alavine. I know Alavine has something she wanted to say, so maybe
Yes.
she's still there. Alavine, what did you want to say earlier? And then we'll come to you.
I would like to say, I would like to say something before coming back to what I wanted to say earlier. You talked a little bit about aversion, and people think that abortion will have no consequences. And I can tell you that a lot of women, years after their abortion, okay, they want to have a baby, they can't, and they go through tests to see if they are able to have babies, and yes, they are. So I mean, physically speaking, but because of the abortion they did in the past, they are unable to have it. They have this barriers, this psychological barrier, and they don't know that, and they need to go through therapy and etc. to in order to have this baby, and it is hard. And after that, some of them relate that they have after that a miscarriage because of fears, because of the fact that um, their body remembers something like, oh, I can't have a baby because the first time I carried one, I had to let it go, not because the body wanted to, but because we took some medicine or whatever, and we lost this baby, and our body, our womb says, okay, no more baby because it is not allowed. And our brain, our psychological side remembers that, and we don't know why, but we can't have baby after when we feel ready. So I want to say that because I would like to warn people, if you don't have really strong reasons to go for abortion, try to avoid it. Try to go through the pregnancy. Not easy. I know sometimes we have babies and we don't want them. We don't feel ready, whatever. But we need to go through that before going through an abortion. That is the first thing. And yes, earlier I was talking about giving space to someone else and about behavioral communication. Okay, when I was at grade course, I went through a training, if I can say, and the let's say the teacher said to us that you have to find a way to let the people who lost something or someone, okay, know that you are around without making a noise or asking questions, because sometimes just I understand you can feel like an insult, because in their head it can be, how can this person understand me? They don't know me. They didn't lose what I lost, etc. They have no loss. In our mind, when we lose a baby, okay, for us we are alone. Nobody else has lost a baby before, so for us we are alone. We are the only one. We are alone with our pain. So sometimes someone else telling us, I understand you, I am here for you, sounds like a betrayal. And we need to understand that sometimes the best way is um, to try to have a discussion with them, but through their, let's say, through sign languages, not the real sign languages, but let's say through, they are looking at a picture, trying to make them speak about the picture. They are looking to a closed door. You can try to make them talk about it if they feel ready, for example. And through that, you will not tell them, I am here for you, but you will show them, I am here for you if you need to speak. So that was I wanted to say about the what I wrote in the private chat. That's it. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alavine, for that share. I do agree with some of the things that you've said. Um, it's really important. The one thing I'm going to say is no matter what the situation is, I always say compassion is the first tool because that brings understanding. When you're compassionate, you can truly allow the space, allow the time to understand people's journeys. This is the reason why this space is a judgment-free space, a judgment-free zone. We pride ourselves on listening and being compassionate, and empathizing with you, um, without you being afraid of being judged or being afraid of being unheard. And with that being said, I'm going to really speak to the men in this room, because we speak about women a lot, but with men in this room too, I would like you guys to share with us. And before we do that, I just want to say this. I want you to think about this for a moment, okay? Whether you're watching this live or whether you are watching this on a replay, have you ever felt like support disappeared too soon for you? What was your experience? What was your thought in that moment? What did you need in that moment that you did not receive? Was it people's time? Was it errands being run for you? Was it compassion, love? Was it patience? Was that from your partner or your wider community, from your colleagues or your employer? If you're supporting someone now, do you know what they still need? So, for those supporting people or somebody going through this trauma, do you know what they still need? That's my question to you. So, whether you're watching this live or you're watching on a replay, take the time to answer those questions, because that might help you support somebody else. And also, one way of responding is really to say, thank you for sharing this, or I know many people here can relate to X, Y, and Z. Is thinking about your words carefully before you respond and before you approach, people to ask questions for them. For those that are grieving, give yourself the permission to not be okay, because we cannot be okay all the time, no matter what time has passed, no matter how long you've been grieving for. Nobody can tell you how long you can grieve for. Understand that you're, moving forward, and you navigating and processing this journey is not linear. Find a safe space, whether it's a community, groups, therapy, where you can truly express yourself, whether you're somebody of faith, wherever you can truly express yourself without any kind of fears, will be the best place for you. And also speak your truth. Don't be afraid to speak your truth, even if your voice is shaky. Share, because you do not know who you might be helping, which lives you might be saving. And for those that are supporting, don't stop checking in after 2 weeks. Remember the important dates. For example, people have triggers. It might be an anniversary that's coming up for them. It could be a date, maybe perhaps a due date. Avoid assumptions like they're fine now, so therefore it's okay, I can get on with my life. And also, you can just say to them, I'm still here. You don't have to go through this alone. That's really important for us to keep checking in and keep reassuring those individuals. And just because someone says they're okay doesn't mean that they are okay. And just because the time has passed does not mean that the pain has gone. I always use the example of a not a client, but a man who told his story that felt like 24 years after the loss of his son was reliving that trauma 24 years later. So grief does not need a deadline. It needs space, understanding, and also compassion. Yeah, I'm going to hand the floor over to the men that are both in the studio tonight. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for being here and supporting us once again. And thank you to both superstars, Bill and Emmy. The floor is yours.
The floor is yours.
Do
Comments
not put
or
me
notes.
do not put me on stage by myself. So I know he was about to do that. So I have so many questions, and but I don't want
Okay.
to take the time up. But I'd like you to jot this down, and we'll have a future conversation
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, I
Is that
agree.
is that a cool?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So the first thing I thought about was Paulette, when she was talking about watching the
Yes.
women having abortions. and she was like, just give the child to
Mm.
me. So
Mhm.
I want to know how that feels. What type of loss is that to give birth to a child and then hand it over? What is the what?
Oh,
Because your body
mm,
has gone through the same things,
mm,
right? So
Mm.
what is that like? Because I'm not a woman, so I cannot speak on behalf
mm,
of that. But it in my mind, it would be like going through the full trimester and having a stillbirth. I mean, I'm not
Mm.
sure. I can't associate. The other question
Yes.
that I had was about loss in general. So I've
Okay.
heard many couples say that not just during the loss of a pregnancy, but the loss of a child, that their relationship never got back on track after that. And so it
Hmm.
led to divorce.
mm,
So I'd
Yes.
be very interested in knowing why those two things lead to, um, at some in a lot of times, the end of a relationship.
mm,
And I
Hmm.
think that I believe that Paulette hit on it a little bit when she said, I needed to blame somebody.
mm,
Yes.
Um, and then uh, the final thing that Paulette brought up, which is a little bit confusing to me, is when she was talking to the employer, she said, she just wants to be treated normally.
mm,
Hmm.
And that was my initial question. What do you say? And so if someone wants to be treated normally, but you also feel like people forget you or forget what happened, and men are
Hmm.
from Mars and women are from Venus, right?
Yes.
So how do we navigate that?
mm,
So those
Yeah.
are my three. Those are three topics that we
mm.
can't dive
Okay.
into today because I think it would be
Yes.
another hour-long conversation. But I would love to
Hmm.
have that with you, either on your show or on mine. Either way.
Okay. So I'm going to have to go through the video to have a look at your first question again, because I'm trying to really understand what you are asking so I don't get that question wrong,
So
because
what was
it's
what was
important.
what two did you write
So
down?
the two I've put down, the first question is when the abortion, having a child and having to give the child, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
to
Mm,
someone else, is that the child being born and giving up a child
yeah.
into the system, or a child that's unborn, sorry, that is been born that did not live?
Right.
Yeah,
Those questions.
it's a child that lives that we are. I think Bill. I love the questions that you ask, and I think there is
Same here.
a fundamental difference between giving a child away
Mm-hmm.
or losing a child, because that's what it is. That's where parents see it. Let's say the child gets taken in by the social care.
Right.
I'm
Yes.
saying it's a loss, and the parents do spend a long time grieving. I'm sure they do.
Mm-hmm.
And still, as I've seen many parents lose their mind, literally. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about it. Now, what's the difference between that and baby loss?
Yeah, but let's not talk about it now because I really want
No,
to
No,
go
no,
deep
no.
in.
no.
We'll, we'll talk
We're setting
about
things
it.
for future. Yeah, I think that's one topic I take from your question, Bill. I
Yeah.
think
Mm-hmm.
another one I take from you and Paulette is who is to blame.
Yes.
Who do we blame? Let's talk about that next time, Christiana. Who do we blame? Because there's always someone to blame. I blame the medical people always. I
Mm-hmm.
know
Right.
I'm wrong.
But any back to Christiana.
Mm.
Yes.
What question did you not get? I'm sorry. What
No,
questions do you
I've
have?
got it. It's fine. I've got the questions. Why does loss of a child lead to a breakdown in relationship?
Mhm.
Right.
Either
Um,
either either way.
either
Right?
way. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Like the
someone
kid's 10
who,
years old or whatever.
mhm,
They seem to just like,
yes.
all right, go ahead.
So loss of breakdown in a relationship, no matter the age, right?
Hmm.
Is that what you're referring to? No matter the
Yeah.
age. Okay. The next one is someone who wants to be treated normally.
Mm, yeah.
by
And then right.
by others. What does that mean for them?
And what and how do we navigate that
Well, let
without them feeling like we are, because if you said you want to be treated normally, then I wouldn't ask you about it. So that's it. This was a great show.
great
Thank
question.
you.
I am
Great question.
glad that you're back.
Yes.
And I'm glad I got a chance to like dig in.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
we're glad you joined us.
Always.
We're glad you joined us
Always.
for sure. Thank
All
you
We're
very
right.
so
much.
we're so
Thank you.
privileged to have you and honored to have
Stop
you on our
saying
stage.
that.
Thank
Stop
you.
saying that.
Uh,
All right, you guys.
thank you.
Much
Thank
love.
you.
Adeline as well, and Paulette, thank you so much. Of course, you
Yes. So
Cristiano as well.
so Bill, let me know if sorry, it's a bit warm where I am right now, and this light is making it worse. So do let me know if you want us to discuss this on this show or on your show. We
Hmm.
could pick
We could
up
we
each
could
because each one is a topic by itself.
Hmm.
yeah,
You know.
we can do both.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do
Different
both. So
different
you
audience,
can
I guess. So yes.
yeah, and yeah, let's do it both ways.
Hmm.
You know, and we
Okay.
take one. I'll take one topic, and then you can take a
Mhm.
topic, and then we can just spitball it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And as,
Okay.
let's
Yay.
take the topic who's to blame, Cristiano. I mean, the first one, I think, is an interesting one.
So who's to
Yeah,
blame? Okay.
between say giving losing your child versus baby loss. I think that's not a very interesting one.
Yes.
So
I think that one and giving birth, going full term, and then walking home with no baby. Either
mm,
way,
mm,
how does that affect? I would say the mother in that instance, because sometimes if the woman is giving the baby up for adoption, the father's already out of the picture.
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah. So
And sometimes not.
okay, that's
mm.
So
why
yes.
that's exactly why it's a great question.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yes.
agree.
Let's take it
Yeah,
on. All right, guys.
and I say thank you so much, for
All right.
joining.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
guys. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
yeah.
Bill,
Okay.
I'll see you before then.
Bye.
Alavie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. All the
You.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
if you're on my YouTube,
And,
please like,
and for,
comment, subscribe to my YouTube, Alavie, and
so the
Paulette.
question is, how can you find me? Right? I am on LinkedIn. If you type in Christiana T. Johnson, T for Tango Johnson, you'll find me on LinkedIn. That's usually where I house myself, but LinkedIn was playing up tonight. And whatever wise, I think I'm definitely going to be putting up YouTube too. So I too can have YouTube people join join
Yeah,
this. I've
yeah,
been told about
this,
it so many times. I might have to
this
say if you can't beat them, join them, right? So
this is
I'll
the
be doing
beauty
that.
of streaming. This is the beauty of streaming. Audio, we only had LinkedIn. So when
Yes.
I was streaming, we have many other channels, So we have to learn to use the other channels in case just what happens today happens again, right? Alavie,
Yes.
please feel free. I see you are muted,
Thank
so
you. Thank you,
Yes.
Olivia.
It's a pleasure to be there, and I already subscribed.
yay,
Yay.
yay! Just
That's
yeah.
so. I did it maybe a month ago. I don't remember when, but I found you and I subscribed. That's it.
Excellent. Look,
Yay.
all you have to do now is go back to my channel every so often and watch a video or two. When you're bored, just go to my YouTube and watch it. No, just click a video. You haven't got to watch it really. Just click on the video as long as it's playing
Yes.
and you like the video and comment. I'll take it. No, thank you so much, Alavie. Christiana, your YouTube. You need to start yours sooner rather than
Yes.
later, right?
Yes. I need to start. I've been kind of like avoiding it for quite some time. Only because I'm in a space where I work with young people as well. So it's whether or not I want to
Christiana, the
reveal
YouTube
that
star.
side of me.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with being the YouTube star?
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No.
might actually take the videos we've had previously and load them up on YouTube so people can watch different videos. So yes.
I suppose no, we can talk about that in terms of is there a material difference between uploading videos to YouTube and doing YouTube lives from YouTube?
Well, we can have
If,
live videos, but we can also have pre-recorded ones that we've done previously and add there for
yeah,
content.
yeah,
People to start
yeah.
to watch and stream. I think we can have something to watch.
No,
What's
so
going
I'll
on?
so I said, well, let's Levine for a second. Look, if you're subscribed to my channel
Can you still
already,
see me?
yeah, we can hear you. Please go to my YouTube and just watch other videos, Levine. Watch other videos. Just click on any other ones because all the replays are there, right? And there's also many tips videos I've done over the years, and there's other videos I do for many other events. So just watch a video too and engage, like, comment.
Okay.
That's all I
Yeah,
ask.
I started to do it. I
Excellent.
started to
See,
listen to you. Yes.
that's why you're so lovely. Truly, I appreciate that. My
Thank
friends,
you.
I said I do just saying I do. Engage with our YouTube channels that way more people get to see our videos, and and eventually we'll get to monetize when we do all the hard work. But I won't keep you any longer. Now we've lost our hostess, so,
Yes.
do join us again in a couple of weeks' time. I'm sure I'll be back next week. I'm doing my very
Okay.
best to leave that way as our hostess come back. Yeah, she'll come back to say goodbye to everyone.
My
Levine,
laptop
thank you
has
so much.
gone. My laptop is dead.
Yes.
It died a death, Annie. Seriously.
All right,
Apologies,
next.
guys.
Close the call then. That's what you have to do now.
So I want to say thank you once again for being here. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for always checking in, always supporting this platform, these discussions. Know that you are not alone. If you're watching this and you would like support, please do reach out. As I said before, I am Christina T. Johnson, and I help women, men, couples, organizations that are navigating this trauma to come to clarity and confidence in moving forward, helping them to process what they're going through, being practical with exactly the what, the when, the how, and the next. So join us next time, which is in 2 weeks' time, for the next topic. As always, we value your contributions. We truly appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us in these discussions. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you at the next show in 2 weeks' time. Take care, and yes, please drop a comment in the LinkedIn and continue to subscribe, continue to view our videos. We've got more coming up, and we thank you for joining us. Take care.
So we thank Mike LeBlanc for the amazing music. So
Oh yes, how could I forget?
I hope your evening goes well, Christian. Hopefully you get good news.
Yes, me
So,
too.
anyway, we'll talk later.
All
Bye
right.
everyone. Bye everyone.
Bye
Thank you so much.
everyone. Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.
12 years she's walked beside the broken hearted, a coach who knows the weight of dreams departed. Through her own valley of shadow and pain, she found her calling in healing from loss. With gentle strength she holds what